I came home from a business trip to find my stuff in garbage bags, and a for sale sign on my house. I step out of the Uber, my shoulders finally relaxing after the 4-hour flight from Denver. The late afternoon sun warms my face as I adjust my grip on the gift bag containing a cashmere scarf for Mom, lavender, her favorite color since I was 12. My other hand clutches my laptop bag with the contracts for the $3.2 million consulting deal I just closed with Rockwell Industries. I can't wait to tell everyone about landing the biggest client of my career. My smile freezes mid-formation. 18 black garbage bags stand in perfect formation at our front gate like silent mourners. Not the small kitchen kind, industrial-strength contractor bags, bulging and tied with military precision. Behind them, my mother and 3 siblings form a human wall on our manicured front lawn in Maple Heights. Mom's arms are crossed, her chin lifted in that familiar way that always made my stomach drop as a child. Carson, Emma, and Blake flank her like loyal soldiers. Mrs. Henderson across the street has stopped watering her prized hydrangeas to watch. The Johnsons have paused their weekend car detailing. My family has always been intensely private about our conflicts. This public display means something catastrophic has happened. What's going on? I ask, my voice sounding distant to my own ears. Mom's face remains perfectly composed, like she's announcing dinner plans. Nora, you're 27. It's time to be independent. She gestures toward the bags with the same casual motion she'd used to point out a new restaurant. Your belongings are packed. I blink rapidly, the significance of the scene taking precious seconds to process. The contract in my bag, the one that would finally prove my worth to them, suddenly feels weightless against the crushing weight of this moment. After Dad died when I was 9, his will split ownership of our family home equally among the 5 of us, though Mom retained the deed as trustee. I remember sitting in Attorney Wilson's oak-paneled office, swinging my legs from the oversized leather chair as he explained I owned 20% of our house. My siblings never let me forget how they'd all moved out by 24, starting real adult lives, while I remained at home like some perpetual teenager. Never mind that I pay more than my share of utilities, property taxes, and groceries. Just last week, before my Denver trip, Mom had been uncharacteristically distant when I mentioned my potential promotion to senior partner. Now I understand why. This ambush had been orchestrated for weeks. Why now? Why like this? I ask, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. You couldn't have given me any warning? Carson steps forward, hands buried deep in his khakis like he's delivering perfectly reasonable news. It's about teaching you responsibility, Nora. You need this push to grow up. Mom sighs as if I'm being deliberately difficult. The house is sold, honey. The new owners want immediate possession. The world tilts sideways. Sold. The word comes out strangled. Without consulting me? I'm a legal co-owner. My voice has found a new steadiness I didn't know I possessed. The contract in my bag feels heavy again, but differently, like armor rather than proof of worthiness. You're being overly dramatic, Mom says, brushing an invisible speck from her pristine white blouse. We've been discussing this for months. Not with me, you haven't. My siblings suddenly find the hedges, the cloudless sky, their shoes, anywhere but my face, fascinating. Mom purses her lips, the faintest wrinkle of annoyance creasing her forehead. Your inheritance will be adjusted naturally, she says with the tone she'd used to discuss grocery lists. You've stayed much longer than the others. We've calculated the rent differential you should have been contributing all these years. The full scope crashes over me in devastating waves. My home? Gone. My inheritance? Stolen. My family's support? An illusion. All while I was working 18-hour days to close the biggest deal of my career. I walk to the nearest bag, my hands surprisingly steady as I untie the plastic. My winter sweaters. The next contains books. The third reveals shoes, and there, crumpled between my worn Nikes and bathroom supplies, lies the lavender scarf I'd carefully selected for Mom 3 days ago. She must have rifled through my suitcase while I showered this morning. I fold the scarf carefully and slip it into my jacket pocket. Something fundamental shifts inside me, like a bone setting after a clean break. The pain is sharp but clarifying. I'll need several trips, I say, no longer asking permission but stating fact. I'll have everything cleared by sunset. The confidence in my own voice surprises me. I'm halfway through loading the fourth garbage bag when a folded paper slips from between two photo albums. The glossy cardstock lands face up on the damp sidewalk, not just any paper, but a real estate listing. For my house. Our house. I pick it up with fingers that suddenly feel numb. The listing date reads 3 months ago. 3 months. While I was pulling 70-hour weeks. While I was securing the Rockwell account. While I was dutifully paying property taxes, they were photographing my bedroom for strangers. I lean against my Honda Civic, the metal burning hot against my back in the Sunday afternoon heat. Mom's recent distraction crystallizes into something far more calculated. Her casual questions about my work schedule, her mysterious book club meetings requiring complete privacy, the strange man I'd glimpsed in our living room who was introduced as Patricia's husband from church, despite Patricia being divorced. My phone buzzes insistently. A text from Emma appears. Just checking if you need help moving. Carson says you're making this harder than necessary. I tap open our sibling group chat, scrolling back through messages I missed during my Denver meetings. They've been orchestrating this betrayal for weeks. Screenshots of the listing. Detailed discussions about timing. Blake suggesting they wait until my big presentation thing, so I'd be too overwhelmed to fight back effectively. Carson calculating exact dollar amounts they'd save by reducing my inheritance share. A new notification slides down. Stephanie, any update? My guest room is ready whenever you need it. I squint at the listing photos with fresh horror. There's my bedroom with the navy comforter I've treasured since college. My desk displaying the framed photo of Dad and me at Lake Michigan. My closet door hanging open, revealing the professional dresses I only wear for major client presentations. All photographed while I worked late, completely unaware that strangers were evaluating my most personal space. Need any help, sweetie? Mrs. Henderson calls from across the street, garden hose still in hand. I'm fine, thank you, I answer automatically, the familiar mask of composure sliding into place. But I'm anything but fine. I'm drowning. Later that evening, I sit cross-legged on Stephanie's living room floor, my laptop balanced precariously on my knees. On the screen, my family's social media feeds display a celebration I wasn't invited to witness. You don't have to torture yourself with those, Stephanie says, setting a steaming mug of chamomile tea beside me. It'll just make everything worse. She's absolutely right, but I can't look away from the train wreck. Mom, Carson, Emma, and Blake at Romano's, the upscale Italian bistro downtown we only visited for milestone celebrations. Crystal champagne flutes raised in triumph. Mom's caption reads, "New chapters for everyone." Clinking glasses. The timestamp shows they went directly from destroying my life to celebrating with Prosecco and lobster ravioli. Look at this, I whisper, turning the screen towards Stephanie with shaking hands. Emma has commented on Mom's post, so relieved we finally got fair market value. Timing couldn't be more perfect. Blake's reply appears below, property values projected to climb another 20% next quarter, but this was our window. Couldn't wait any longer. I scroll further and my blood turns to ice. Carson has posted behind-the-scenes photos of potential buyers touring the house, while I was still presenting to Rockwell Industries in Denver. Fresh start for the whole family, his caption reads smugly. Everyone except me. They orchestrated everything, I whisper, my voice strange and hollow. They waited until I was closing the biggest deal of my career. They knew I'd be too busy and exhausted to fight back. Stephanie's couch feels foreign beneath me, the borrowed blanket scratchy against my suddenly hypersensitive skin. My throat constricts as reality crashes down with the weight of a collapsing building. I have nowhere to live. No family to turn to. No safety net. Rental listings mock me with their astronomical prices on my laptop screen. Average one-bedroom apartments in our city, $2,400 per month. My savings account shows a balance that would cover 2 months maximum, depleted from aggressively paying down student loans while my siblings invested in stocks and retirement accounts. Tomorrow morning, I need to update my address with human resources. My 6-month probationary period after the promotion isn't over yet. What will managing partner Williams think when I explain my sudden housing crisis? That I'm unstable? Unreliable? A liability? That night, I dream I'm standing at our familiar front door, key trembling in my hand, only to discover the locks have been changed. I wake disoriented in Stephanie's spare room, momentarily confused about my surroundings before devastating reality crashes back. It happens 3 nights running. You should consult a lawyer, Stephanie says over breakfast, breaking into my spiraling thoughts. Your name is on the deed, right? They can't legally sell without your signature. I don't know anything anymore. Mom always handled all legal paperwork after Dad's funeral. Stephanie's boyfriend Jake, a third-year law student at Northwestern, recommended attorney Patricia Mills, who offered free initial consultations. I couldn't afford much beyond that with my savings hemorrhaging daily. The email from attorney Mills arrives as I'm brushing my teeth, preparing for another restless night on Stephanie's pull-out couch. The legal language pierces through my exhaustion with crystal clarity. I legally own 20% of the house, regardless of how long I lived there. My signature was required for any legitimate sale. The reduced payment they're offering violates my inheritance rights under Dad's will. Their actions constitute potential fraud and breach of fiduciary duty. As I stare at attorney Mills' letter that evening, a crucial decision looms before me. Should I demand my full inheritance share immediately and sever all ties with my family? Or accept their reduced offer to maintain some semblance of relationship with the only family I have left? Financial security meant freedom, but was completely burning these bridges worth the legal battle ahead? The group text from Mom arrives while I'm scrolling through impossible apartment listings at Stephanie's kitchen table. My phone buzzes against the wood surface, the screen illuminating with a message sent to every aunt, uncle and cousin in our extended family tree. We've been forced to take difficult measures with Nora. She refused to mature despite our endless patience. Sometimes love requires tough choices. My stomach contracts like I've been sucker-punched. I set the phone down, my fingers trembling as I reach for my now cold coffee. Stephanie glances over from washing dishes, her eyebrows raised in silent question. Mom's rewriting history, I say, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. Telling everyone I forced their hand. Before I can fully process this character assassination, my phone erupts with 3 more notifications. Aunt Margaret's annual Thanksgiving invitation, rescinded. Uncle Robert's message expressing bitter disappointment. Cousin Sarah suggesting I reflect deeply on my selfish choices. Family of vultures, Stephanie mutters, drying her hands on a dish towel with unnecessary force. I swipe away from the toxic messages, returning to apartment listings, but the screen blurs through sudden tears I refuse to let fall. Thanksgiving alone, another devastating consequence I hadn't anticipated. That evening, a notification pops up from the neighborhood Facebook marketplace. Mom has listed my childhood bedroom furniture. The oak dresser Dad lovingly refinished for my 10th birthday. The bookshelf that housed my complete Harry Potter collection, all priced to sell immediately without offering them to me first. I screenshot the listings and add them to my growing digital folder labeled Legal Documentation. The next morning, the apartment manager of yet another depressing studio frowns at his computer screen. His cramped office reeks of stale cigarettes and industrial air freshener. Through the grimy window, traffic crawls past a row of fast food restaurants and check-cashing stores. There's a problem with your credit report, he says, avoiding eye contact entirely. That's impossible. My score was 790 last month. He reluctantly turns the monitor toward me. 7 unpaid utility bills from 4 years ago, all in my name, all tied to an address I don't recognize. That's not my address, I say, leaning closer to read the screen. I've never lived there. 2 hours and 5 phone calls later, I discover the devastating truth. Mom opened utility accounts using my social security number when I was in college. The address belongs to Carson's first apartment. The unpaid bills total $4,300. That night, I stare at the ceiling above Stephanie's pull-out couch, my exhausted mind racing through impossible calculations. The inheritance money remains frozen in legal limbo. My savings won't cover security deposits and these fraudulent debts. The Rockwell Commission won't hit my account for 90 days. My phone chimes with an urgent early morning text from the Denver client, need major revisions on implementation timeline. Conference call at 8 a.m. I've been awake for 31 hours straight. The next morning, I arrive at the office with concealer caked under my bloodshot eyes. My presentation lacks the razor-sharp focus that earned me the Rockwell account. Managing partner Williams notices immediately, pulling me aside after the meeting. Everything all right, Nora? You seem off your game. I force a bright smile and blame it on a nasty cold going around. That night, Stephanie hands me a leather-bound journal. For documenting everything, she explains. Legal conversations, financial damages, timeline of events. Organize it now while the details are fresh. I stay awake until 4 a.m, creating detailed timelines and calculating damages. The journal becomes my anchor in this storm, something solid to grasp when my world spins out of control. By my 15th apartment viewing, the units blur together in a depressing parade of water stains, broken appliances, and paper-thin walls. This latest property manager, David Rodriguez, studies my rental application with furrowed brows. Nora Whitman, he says suddenly, looking up with surprise. You created that digital campaign for Riverside Brewing, didn't you? I nod, startled by the recognition. That's my cousin's brewery. Sales jumped 60% after your campaign launched. He removes his reading glasses, smiling genuinely for the first time. For the woman who saved Miguel's business, I might have something special not listed yet. For the first time in weeks, my shoulders relax slightly. 3 days later, Mom texts requesting to meet at Café Luna to talk things through properly. I agree, against Stephanie's adamant advice. Maybe there's still something salvageable, some explanation that will make sense of the garbage bags and credit fraud and family exile. The coffee shop hums with quiet conversation and the rhythmic hiss of espresso machines. Mom sits by the large window in a cream cardigan, the exact shade of lavender as the scarf I'd brought her from Denver. She looks smaller somehow, her manicured hands wrapped around her ceramic mug like it's anchoring her. You look exhausted, sweetheart, she says when I sit across from her. I am exhausted. We did this because we love you, she says, reaching across the table for my hand. I move mine to my lap. Sometimes children need tough love to reach their full potential. The words land like stones dropped into still water, creating ripples of recognition. I've heard this justification my entire life. Love doesn't put someone's belongings in garbage bags, I say, my voice low but crystal clear. Love doesn't sell their home without warning. And it certainly doesn't commit identity theft. Her face hardens like cooling concrete. You've always been so melodramatic about everything. Everything I did was for your own good. Was opening fraudulent utility accounts in my name for my own good? A moment of stunned silence. I needed to help Carson with his bills after college. You weren't using your credit for anything important anyway. I stand up, leaving exact change for my untouched latte beside the cup. I have to go. Nora Marie Whitman, don't you dare walk away from me. Her voice rises sharply, causing every head in the cafe to turn. After everything I've sacrificed for you. I keep walking, past the curious stairs, through the glass door, into the parking lot. Her voice follows me, calling my name with increasing desperation, but for the first time in my life, it doesn't pull me back like a fishing line. In my car, an extraordinary sensation spreads through my chest. Not anger, not hurt, something lighter, almost buoyant. I realize with startling clarity that I no longer crave her approval. The revelation hits me like fresh air after years in a suffocating room. I drive to David's building that evening to sign the lease on a studio apartment. The space is small but bright, with excellent natural light and a view of a community garden where neighbors tend shared vegetable plots. Stephanie and Jake help me move in the following weekend, assembling second-hand furniture until midnight under warm Edison bulb string lights. Perfect spot for your photography, Stephanie says, pointing to a wall that catches the morning sun. I unpack the framed landscapes Mom had dismissed as amateur hobby nonsense. Stephanie and Jake hang them carefully, measuring spaces between frames, stepping back to ensure perfect alignment. These are genuinely beautiful, Jake says, studying a sunset shot I'd captured at Millennium Park. You have a real eye for composition. While my family had stuffed my belongings into garbage bags like trash, these friends arrange my possessions with the reverence of museum curators. They fold clothes neatly into drawers, alphabetize my books, position my desk to capture optimal working light. 3 weeks after the eviction, I'm preparing for a follow-up presentation with Rockwell Industries. Their request for me to personally lead the project expansion positions me perfectly for the senior partner promotion I'd been chasing. I polish my implementation strategy until 2 a.m, reviewing metrics and optimization plans until my eyes burn. As I finally close my laptop, my phone lights up with an ominous text from Blake. Mom lost everything. She's going to call you. I stare at the 12 simple words that rewrite our power dynamic entirely. The next day, I stand before the Rockwell executive team, laser pointer circling my final metrics slide. My professional smile doesn't waver as 17 missed calls from my mother illuminate my phone screen on the conference table. The device vibrates persistently, inching toward my presentation notes like an unwelcome intruder. With this implementation strategy, we project an additional 25% market penetration by year-end, I say, clicking to the next slide with practiced confidence. Our focus groups show particular resonance with the sustainability messaging among your target demographics. CEO Barbara Chun leans forward, her silver hair catching the conference room lights. These projections are impressive, Nora. What about expanding into the Southwest educational sector? We've been eyeing that market aggressively. My heart pounds, but my voice remains perfectly steady. I pull up supplementary slides I'd prepared after countless sleepless nights in my tiny studio apartment. I anticipated that question, I say, revealing comprehensive market analysis for university partnerships. We could expand the campaign with minimal additional resource allocation. ROI projections indicate a $1.2 million revenue opportunity with just 15% increase in our current marketing spend. My phone buzzes again. Mom's contact photo, her standing proudly in front of our family home, the home she sold without consulting me, flashes mockingly. I slide the device face down without breaking eye contact with Barbara. The meeting concludes with enthusiastic handshakes and approvals. As others file out, Barbara touches my elbow gently. That was exceptional work, she says quietly. Between us, Jennifer is retiring next quarter. The senior partner position will be posted soon. She gives me a meaningful look. You should apply. I'm halfway to the airport when I finally listen to my mother's voicemail, the rental car's unfamiliar dashboard glowing in the gathering dusk of another successful business trip. Nora, it's Mom. There's a family emergency. Call me immediately. Her voice lacks the urgency a genuine emergency would warrant. I've heard this tone before, the manufactured crisis designed to command attention on her schedule. I finish the drive, check in for my flight, and find a quiet corner in the departure lounge before returning her call. Finally, she answers on the first ring. I've been trying to reach you all day. I was in client meetings, Mom. What's the emergency? A theatrical pause, then a shaky sigh. I need to tell you something difficult. The money from the house sale, it's gone. My fingers tighten around the phone. Gone? All of it. I invested everything with Timothy Fletcher, you remember Dad's old colleague? He promised guaranteed 30% returns. Her voice cracks convincingly. It was a Ponzi scheme, Nora. Everyone's money, completely gone. Carson and Emma won't even speak to me anymore. Terminal announcements fade to background noise as I process her words. The twisted satisfaction I feel surprises me, not at her loss, but at the universe's swift justice. I'm sorry to hear that, I say, my voice carefully neutral. I've been thinking, she continues, gaining desperate momentum. Family should stick together during crises. I'll need to stay with you temporarily while I sort this out, just until I get back on my feet financially. The old Nora would have immediately rearranged her life to accommodate this demand. That Nora died the day I found my belongings in garbage bags. Nora? Are you there? My silence stretches between us like a chasm. I watch a young family walk past, the father carrying a sleeping toddler with such tenderness it makes my throat tighten. I need to think about this, I finally say. I'll call you tomorrow. I hang up and immediately text Stephanie, emergency friend meeting tonight? Her response comes instantly, wine and Chinese takeout at 8. Bring overnight bag if needed. By midnight, Stephanie and I have researched every affordable senior living option within 50 miles. Her laptop screen glows as she creates a detailed spreadsheet, organizing communities by amenities, location, and monthly costs. This one's near that park she likes, Stephanie says, pointing to a pleasant-looking complex with flower boxes flanking the entrance. Walking distance to grocery stores and that church she sometimes attends. I nod, throat tight with unexpected emotion. It's actually really nice. The next morning, I meet with Dr. Amanda Torres, the the therapist I started seeing after the eviction. Her office always smells faintly of lavender and feels like a sanctuary. Your mother's financial crisis is not your emergency to solve, she reminds me, her practical voice grounding my swirling thoughts. What boundaries feel healthy to you? We craft a response offering support with crystal clear conditions: no cohabitation, no unlimited financial assistance, mandatory family therapy sessions for continued help. You're not abandoning her, Dr. Torres says as our session ends. You're offering healthy support while protecting yourself. 2 days later, I meet my mother at Café Luna, deliberately choosing not to give her my new address. The confusion on her face when I suggest meeting publicly speaks volumes about her expectations. I arrive 15 minutes early, claiming a corner table where afternoon sunlight warms the brick wall behind me. My fingers drum a steady rhythm on the manila folder before me as I rehearse words I've practiced with Dr. Torres. The bell chimes. My mother enters, scanning until she spots me. The small rolling suitcase trailing behind her might as well be a neon sign advertising her intentions. Nora, darling. Her voice carries across the cafe, turning heads. She leans down to kiss my cheek, her signature perfume momentarily transporting me to childhood moments when her approval meant everything. You look wonderful, she says, settling across from me. That color really brings out your eyes. I always said emerald was your shade. I wore this blouse specifically because she once called it unflattering. The compliment confirms what Stephanie predicted: she's desperate. I slide a printed document across the table. This is Sunset Manor Senior Living. 1-bedroom apartment with kitchenette, community garden, weekly social activities. Your social security covers most expenses. I'll contribute $300 monthly for the difference. Her face freezes, lips suspended in disbelief. I've completed the application and paid the deposit, I continue steadily. They have availability starting next week. She pushes the paperback toward me, coral nails scraping against wood. I don't need charity housing. I need my daughter's support. I'll help you, but you won't be living with me. My support comes with conditions. A couple at the neighboring table glances over as her voice rises sharply. Conditions? I'm your mother. Yes, you are. I reach into my purse and place the wrinkled lavender scarf on the table between us, the one I'd found crumpled between my shoes and cleaning supplies in those garbage bags. Her eyes flicker with recognition, then dart away guiltily. My first condition is family therapy sessions with me, I say, watching her shoulders stiffen. Dr. Torres has openings Tuesday afternoons. I don't need therapy, she says, looking around desperately. I need my daughter to show some gratitude for everything I've sacrificed. The couple beside us watches openly now. I feel oddly calm, like I'm observing this scene from somewhere above the patio. I gather my things and stand. Then I wish you the best of luck. Wait. Her voice cracks like breaking glass. Fine. I'll try a session or two. I pause at the threshold I'm about to cross. This isn't about revenge or justice, it's about finally understanding I can choose which relationships to maintain and on what terms. I return to my seat, not from obligation but choice. I slide the folder with signed agreements toward her, terms outlined in yellow highlighter. There's a pen in the folder. Her hand trembles slightly as she signs where I've marked with small sticky flags. When finished, she looks up with narrowed eyes. Has Blake called you recently? The question catches me off guard. He mentioned wanting to talk, but we haven't connected. Why? She shakes her head. Nothing. Just wondering. She tucks the signed papers into her purse with brittle movements. When do I move in? I'll help you this weekend, I say, calculating how much of my Sunday I'll sacrifice. The movers I hired will handle your furniture from storage. My phone vibrates as I walk away, Mom still sitting at the table staring at the senior living brochure. I expect a text from Stephanie, who's been anxiously waiting to hear how the confrontation went. Instead, it's an email from Barbara Chin. Nora, based on your exceptional work with Rockwell, I'm pleased to offer you the senior partner position, effective immediately. I stop mid-stride as pedestrians flow around me like water around a stone. For the first time in months, my smile feels completely unforced. 1 year later, I stand in the sunlit living room of my new condo, watching dust motes dance in golden beams across polished hardwood floors. The windows face east, capturing every sunrise. "Morning person," the realtor asks, making notes on her clipboard. "I am now," I say, running my fingers along the smooth windowsill. In my family home, my photographs were confined to bedroom walls, hidden like secrets. Here, framed landscapes and portraits will greet each new dawn. The realtor pauses by my largest photograph, a wind-swept shoreline I captured last autumn. "Your work." When I nod, she smiles genuinely. "Stunning composition. The mortgage terms we discussed are competitive for Chicago. With your credit score and down payment, you're in excellent shape." I don't second-guess her assessment or apologize for asking detailed questions about property taxes. The woman who once shrank herself to fit others' expectations has been replaced by someone who knows her worth. That evening, I unwrap my final housewarming gift to myself. The framed photograph feels heavier than its physical weight deserves. 18 black garbage bags standing like sentinels at my mother's gate, captured on my phone that devastating afternoon. I hang it in my home office where I'll see it daily, not as a reminder of betrayal, but as evidence of how far I've traveled. Below it sits a folder containing applications for a small grant program I've created, funded from my promotion bonuses, emergency housing deposits for young adults forced from their homes, no strings attached. As I hang that final photograph, I wonder if true healing comes from forgiveness or from building something entirely new from broken pieces. What matters more, making peace with the past or creating a future where old wounds no longer define you? The answer, perhaps, lies in the question itself, the fact that I can ask it without pain slicing through me like a blade. Sometimes the greatest freedom isn't forgetting the hurt, but transforming it into something that helps others find their way home.